Hey everyone, welcome to the Not a Lonely Coffee Break podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Meaghan. We're a podcast about coffee and work, but make it quick.
Meaghan. I'm so excited for this episode. And for any of our listeners who are also our viewers, you might see that Meaghan and I are in the festive spirit because Halloween is upon us. Cue the "This is Halloween, this is Halloween." This is our Halloween episode. And so Meaghan and I wanted to be a little festive and we dressed up. You can't really see. I'm wearing my little Toy Story Pizza Planet alien shirt.
And I just have the spooky spider webs because you can never go wrong with spider webs, of course.
No, you can never go wrong. You can never go wrong. What do you like to do for Halloween, Meaghan?
Goodness. I really do like a good costume party because I just like seeing everyone get a little goofy and a little out of their comfort zone. And then, of course, I really do love passing out candy and just like getting to see the families have fun and stuff like that when they are coming out. I just like getting festive. It's so hard to get festive right now.
It really is. I resonate with that so much because I usually am like super festive. Like once it's an appropriate time, and sometimes even when it's an inappropriate time to decorate for Halloween, I am like pulling all the stuff out. But this year, I mean, yes, I've been like super busy, but like this year, I was just like dragging my feet on pulling everything out. And I just was kind of like, what's the point? But no, we do like passing out little candies, trick-or-treating things, and seeing all the cute little costumes. And sometimes the creativity in their costumes is always fun. So I am looking forward to that. We don't usually do, back in the day, we would sometimes do a little party here and
Yeah.
there. But now we just really do the trick-or-treating stuff. And just hang out with one another. We might watch like a Halloween movie or
Oh,
something.
yeah.
Oh, but I wanted to update you because you'll appreciate this. So I still have not watched it. However, we recently hung out with our godkids who are youngsters, and my spouse went to go pick them up from their house and like stayed the night, and then they drove back. And while she was with them, she watched K-pop Demon Hunters
Oh,
because
perfect.
they are apparently obsessed with K-pop Demon Hunters. And so she was like, "Oh my gosh, it was actually really good. Like, I don't know what I expected, but it was good."
Yeah.
So I still have not watched it, but I feel like I have because I got like a play-by-play from my goddaughter about K-pop Demon Hunters. And then when we went to help them pick out their Halloween costume, she was devastated because Spirit Halloween was out of what's the character's name?
Roomy, yeah.
Was out. They had the Roomy wig, but they didn't have the Roomy costume.
Oh,
And
it's
that's
hot.
really what she wanted to be.
Yeah.
And Spirit Halloween, the lady told me that they sold out in like a day.
Yeah, I could assume. Yeah, that costume, I've seen it all over the place. Like people are talking about it on TikTok and like whatever with adults and kids. I could imagine. It's a hot costume.
So, K-pop Demon Hunters, apparently it's the it costume for this
Let's see it,
year.
Roomy.
Yeah, I think we ended up settling for a costume that was one of the characters from The Descendants. That she felt okay about.
Oh.
But she still is going to wear the Roomy wig.
Okay. That's a good compromise.
It's going to be a little hodgepodge
Yeah.
of costumes for her. But yeah, they were obsessed with K-pop Demon Hunters. And I was like, okay, I'm going to have to see this.
Yeah. It's a cute story. It's fun.
And so I definitely, as they were talking about it, I was like, Meaghan will be pleased
I am
because we
pleased.
literally just talked about this. And for anyone who is like, no, they didn't, we did. If you head on over to our Patreon, we talked about it in our exclusive content. In our last episode, we hung out with Shannon a little bit and played a fun game where we talked about K-pop Demon Hunters. So head on over there and check that out and join our coffee break crew to access it.
Well, to get everyone into the spooky vibe, we're going to be getting into something a little bit more mystical today. Intuition, tarot, energy, and some of those stories that really make you go, but really, did that happen? I love a good spooky story. Yeah, so this is going to be one of these conversations. Maddie, where did you find
Yeah.
this guy?
So we have a fun guest today. I'm so excited he agreed to come on the show because Meaghan, I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't really have a lot of experience with some of this mystical stuff, tarot, psychic readings. It's just I've never really gotten into it.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing against it. Uh, some of it is tied to my childhood. I was, like I know many people were, I was told I was going to hell if I participated in this
Okay,
stuff.
right.
But I've just never gravitated towards it. So I don't know a whole lot about it. But I feel like I've been trying to at least learn more about it through my friends
Mm-hmm.
who are into it. And so I met Logan a few years ago, and that's our guest today, Logan. He and I actually worked together in a remote situation. Logan is actually based in California, but he and I were sort of part of this crew, and we just worked together really well. And we would meet probably daily. We were talking daily about different projects and stuff. And so we just became really good friends and got to know each other. Well, he shared with me at one point that he was sort of launching into this new sort of business venture that I think he does it as his side job mainly, but it's fruitful for him, so more power
Mm-hmm.
to him. Awesome, Logan. Yay. So he was sharing with me about how he was launching his company called Lotus and the Snake,
Mm-hmm.
where he blends a variety of things: tarot, energy work, intuition, mediumship, all of these things. And he has found it to be really helpful in having sort of grounded human conversations with people, as well as, it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
So he has some wild stories that when he and I were kind of chatting about him coming on the show, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I want to hear all of them." So I'm really looking forward to it and just diving a little bit more into something that I'm not so sure about.
Right.
But if all of our listeners could go ahead and welcome to the show, first time guest, Logan Smith from Lotus and the Snake.
Hello.
Yay! Yay! Welcome, Logan. We are so excited to have you join us today. I was just sharing with our listeners about how you and I know each other. I know you haven't met Meaghan before, so this is Meaghan.
Nice to meet you.
But can you go ahead and just tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are?
Yeah. So my name is Logan Smith. Sometimes I go by Logan Shane. It just depends. So by day, I'm a professional digital marketer and social media specialist and that sort of thing. And then, by nights, I am a tarot card reader and I don't love the word psychic, but you could say that energy reader feels like the
Energy
best. Yeah,
reader.
amidst other things. So that's what we're talking about partly today.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I love that. And yes, so I know you in the professional aspects. And we were kind of just talking about, I shared a little bit about my personal experience with tarot and that I know nothing. I know zero things. So I'm really looking forward to diving into this conversation. But let's start with tarot because I know that that's something that a lot of people are curious about, but sometimes they're a little bit more skeptical of it.
Yeah. Well, tarot is a divination tool. What is a divination tool? It's just a way to read energy. That's the way I see it, right? A lot of people have a lot of different reactions to getting their cards read, right? A lot of people think this is a really fun activity. And if they don't sort of believe in the esoteric or, woo-woo stuff, as some people might call it, right? It becomes a good reflective exercise. So anyway, I, was curious. I got a pack of cards in like 2018. Everyone's talking about it in college and that sort of thing. And I just kept with it. And then over the years, in particular, one year, like 3 years ago, I just really got into it. And when that started happening, I was giving these readings to people and confirming details that there's just no way I would know. Like, and then they just come out. And so I always love to kind of have a degree of separation. Like, okay, I'm going to give you the reading. You're going to have the question or the topic, and then I'm just going to read it. And it's always so fun and exciting to see what happens.
That is exciting. I'm ready. I've had a tarot card reading once, and it was at the Ren Fair inside of this wagon.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. And then, but it was actually like, yeah, like you said, it was, you could just kind of feel like it was kind of not really like, oh my God, this is like your future. It's like, okay, this is like some good guidance, like things for me to think about in the coming months, you know? So that's really cool. I'm excited. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
So, like, whenever you do a reading, what's actually happening on your end? Are you interpreting signals, intuitive? Are you seeing like the energy disperse?
Yeah. When I give a reading, it's really interesting because I have the aphantasia, if you know what that is. So I can't visualize in my mind very easily. Like it's just very, so I feel like for me, it comes in like radio signals. Like I can like hear these phrases sometimes, but oftentimes it's just like, I'm implicitly like reading the cards and I'll just like say things like, you know, if there's like a specific phrase someone's used to, like chicken crossing the road, like I will end up saying those things and they'll like go, oh, okay, I understand like what you're saying. And I'm like, that's great because I don't necessarily 100% understand, but I can feel it. And the
Right.
number one thing that is intuitive for me when I do a reading is 30 minutes to like a few hours before, I will start to feel an energy like in my body. And, you know, I'm like, oh, you know, is it just me? Like, and 9 times out of 10, it is not just me. It's like, oh, they're nervous. Oh, they're feeling this thing, or oh, there's something happening. So it's an interesting process. It's like diagnosing what is this energy? Like, what am I feeling here? You know, and it's very abstract, right?
So, a follow-up question. Like, do you like ever, because I've been interested in just kind of learning like how like certain minerals and crystals, you know, obviously like they do have this energy giving power, especially in nature and like, you know, with sunlight and how we use moonlight and things like that. I'm curious, like, do you use any of like crystals or like any sort of like nature things in your process?
Yeah, so I will use crystals. That was kind of a phase that I had that year that I really got into the cards. And I mean, it's all very interesting to look at. They supposedly have different kind of energetic purposes. You know, whether that's objectively true or not, I think like everything holds an energy, right? We hold energy is kind of how I feel. So it's more how you interact with the tools around you, like the divination tools. Not that crystals are always a divination tool. A lot of people will just meditate with them. I think it's a good reminder to stay connected to nature, right? This aspect of being rooted, right? And feeling that. A lot of people don't have that today. Like we're inside, we're on our technology, and so I think that's what it's useful for. But I will say, like, my divination tools work a lot better when I'm using appropriate crystals that I've selected and handpicked. And I do have some here today if we pull some cards. But yeah,
Okay.
ultimately, the divination tools are just a map to you. So, I mean, how you decide to understand it is what you're going to get out of it.
Got it.
I
Cool, cool, cool,
love
cool.
that. I love that. It kind of even, Meaghan, reminds me a little bit of like self care and just like checking in with yourself. Are we good?
Yeah.
I love that. So, Logan, has anyone ever had a reading that completely shocked them?
Yes, there are a couple of readings I've given, one in particular. So I started with a vocal coach that year. And, you know, I was like, hey, let me give you a reading. So she recorded it on Zoom. We were doing Zoom at the time. And I pull what ends up being 3 cards, right? And, you know, it's not the kind of reading I like to give because I'm like, okay, there's like secrets here. There's that card of like some people are doing something behind you. And it's kind of giving like stealing, thievery, scamming. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like sitting there and I'm like, I don't really want to say this. I really like don't want to say something that's also not true,
Yeah.
obviously. So I am very careful about that process. But on that time, I went, okay, I mean, I just have to read it how I see it and how it's like really coming to me. So I read the reading for her. Turns out she's working with someone to make a music video that week. She had paid them money, I think, to edit it, something like that, right? And literally the next day, word for word, the reading I gave unfolded. And it kind of freaked her out a little bit because she went back and she went, oh my gosh, I listened to it, you know, and I'm like, I did get like one. This is the thing that I mean during the readings. I got like one detail where I'm like, I'm not sure if this is because there were two people she was working with. And that's the sort of thing where I was like, I just don't know like if this is happening, who it is, but just be aware. And it happens so fast.
Oh my
Wild.
goodness. That is so wild.
Spooky.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yikes.
so Logan,
Yeah.
we have to do some sort of reading.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility you would be open to doing a little demo for us?
Totally. So I have two different standard tarot decks here, and I know that y'all discuss queer topics on the podcast. Yeah. So I do have a special queer tarot deck.
Ooh.
So we can pull from that. And then I'm
Ooh.
also liking this one. It's not specifically queer, but it's rainbow tarot.
Yeah, I'm
So
feeling
Oh,
it. I'm
it's
feeling it.
rainbow, so I
Yeah.
mean, it definitely falls into our
It's
category.
great. So what I love to do, and since I'm doing this on the podcast, I say, you choose. You pick the deck that calls to you. So let me know which one you want me to pick.
Meaghan, which one are you drawn to? I'm more drawn to the queer one, I feel like.
Yeah, that
Okay.
first one I really like.
The first one. Yeah.
I kind of figured that would happen, just branding wise. I'm not saying
You're like, it's working.
yes. I'm like, I know already. No. And that's what's so fun about this. Like for me, this isn't like, oh, I'm doing mentalism or ooh, let me do, like I don't know what's gonna happen either. That's the fun part.
This is so exciting. And
know,
are
I'm
we
so
the first
excited.
ones to use this deck?
You are not. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But actually,
I
that
just
is
was
a good
curious.
question. No, you're not. But I feel
Okay.
like this one matches the show so much.
Okay.
Like it's almost like you own it in a way.
Oh, I feel it. I'm
Yes.
feeling it. I'm feeling it.
I love it.
So I'm not going to pull too many cards, but they come out how they want to come out. And what I like to do, I'm just going to get in my process. So I'm going to ask, what do you need to hear right now? Okay. This may apply to both of you. It may even apply to the listeners, especially if it's, less cards. So let's see what comes out. Okay. So I'm going to read the cards now. Bear with me. And feel free to take a deep breath and just relax. And, it's all good here. We're talking about self care today. So I wouldn't be surprised if these cards come up in that regard. So I'm just going to read them as they come. So we have the Justice card, right? If you want to take a look at that.
Okay.
This is like the 9. So that's the Roman numeral for 9, right? And this
Okay.
person is sitting on their throne. Justice is about the balance of scales, right? So, maybe some of us are feeling kind of that bit of injustice in our lives. I'm keeping it very simple in that way. And so it can be up to us to help balance that out, right? The person has a sword in their hand, right? A lot of justice cards, I don't really see that sort of imagery. So I think there's a personal power aspect to this. Let's see if anything else comes out. Sorry you can't see overhead, but sometimes they just fling out and, you gotta.
They're coming to you.
Yes. This is
Oh my
such a good
goodness.
message. So we talked about the Justice card already. That's like our overall theme, right? And then we also have the Star card. Okay. So I don't know if you can see. I'm trying my best there, right?
Yeah.
And that lovely little rainbow, we have water, right? The way emotions just sort of flow, the way energy flows, right? The star is kind of about your guiding star, your north node, if you know about astrology, right? Like, what is the thing that could be driving your life? But it's also about hope and faith, right? Just like looking up at the moon at night and kind of going, you know what, this is going to work out, and not necessarily always knowing why, right? So it's cultivating that inner faith, which is lovely. And so the message here also with the Ace of Pentacles is like earthly possessions, think like coins, right? And I know that symbol could be intimidating for some, but really it's just a symbol of earth, like elemental, think of it that way. So the Ace of Pentacles is kind of about offering something tangible, right? And so what I see is for our collective here today is give yourself that hope, even if it feels hopeless, just, allow yourself to sit with that, breathe it in, right? And you will be offering yourself that component of justice, even if you feel like it's not there, right? Because the self-care component is really the thing that's going to get us through these hard times if you have them, right? At the bottom of the deck, just to, these are really the theme cards for me. It's the Hanged Man. Okay. What is that card about? That's 12, by the way. What is that card about? It's about just sitting there. You can't do anything, right? You can do what I just said for you, but it's not like, it's not like, oh, I'm starting a business and I'm doing this, this, and this. It's okay. Like, I can't control what's happening. I can only focus on myself, right? And the Hanged Man is about waiting, right? It may not be the right time to do certain actions in your life, right? Yeah. So focus on yourself, keep that justice alive through hope and what you're offering yourself. That's what I get from this reading. So, any questions, thoughts,
Wow.
comments?
No, I
Oh my
mean,
gosh.
honestly, that's wild sauce. Okay. Crazy. But no, it's honestly super uplifting, and validating in some ways. Maddie, I know we've talked a lot on this show, but just like recently, just always having to feel like we're having to take action about something. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And always having to be in like motion and we're exhausted. But no, I really I really love this message. It's uplifting and it really kind of just, it tells me to, because I'm really bad at being patient. And so this kind of really just underlines like the need to just slow down and focus on myself.
I totally agree. The cards you were pulling, like as you were even talking about them, I was even just thinking like, okay, yes, Meaghan and I try to use our platform to validate our sense of justice and encourage other people in their sense of justice, even though that might look different for everyone. But we always try to make sure that we're providing a little coffee break community for people to have hope and just a fun opportunity sometimes to decompress from you don't need to do all the things. So I found it just really, just like you said, Meaghan, like reassuring that we're on the right track.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with all of that, by the way. And, it's just very tempting to feel like you have to always be doing something or think this is what that thing should look like. I'm not doing the right kind of thing, right? And it's like, no, there are many ways to do this, right? That's all I wanted to add.
Yeah,
No, I love that. And that was the perfect deck for us.
it
Yeah.
really
We
was.
picked the right one.
I think so.
Yeah.
It was fortuitous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And like, I think one thing I do want to add is, I do feel like the question I was going to ask was about the earthly thing, right?
Mhm.
It's just like being reconnected to the nature and to like, is that like in a way that maybe like reconnect to nature, like to spend time more outside or like to center oneself? Like, how can that be interpreted?
Yeah. So I'll answer your question, right? If we're just talking about pentacles or, feeling nature and earth, the minerals, right? The crystals, connecting with nature, it just sort of takes us back to our roots, right? As we were a species, right? I mean, we were just like any other species of the earth. We lived in nature, forests, plants, right? Animals, and so I think that's where the modern age is just really different for us, because a lot of time that contact really only comes human to human, which is limited sometimes, right? And our pets. And so it's like it does something for us energetically to kind of go back to our roots. So, a lot of times I've heard just go touch a tree, and it sounds kind of tree huggy or whatever. But in this community or with energy, doing that will ground you. Like there's an energetic interaction happening, just like when you socialize with a person. But just because we don't understand it or we're trying to put sentience on it and like we're trying to put it through our paradigm, doesn't mean things aren't alive around us, right? So, you know, use the energy around you and it will also use your energy, right? So that's what I think of when you say nature and pentacles. Pentacles, though,
Yeah.
is also money. I think of that, or like tangible assets, right? So pay attention to the fact if you have a reflection like you did in a reading I gave, that's something to take note of. Oh, wow, this is really resonating with me. This idea came to me.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. I was just like, I need a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I feel like there's so much there. Even Meaghan, thinking about going back to our roots, like we as a show, we have a little series that we kind of every now and then do an episode on where we go back to what some of the LGBTQ plus, first activists, who they were, and kind of we feel like we're going back to all of those things in our current climate. And so I just we're talking about it, promoting opportunities to engage. So I also see it as kind of that. We're going back to our roots of advocacy and activism to acknowledge that queer people are still here.
Yeah.
And one thing I'll just add to that, with all of these symbols we had today, the ace is the beginning of something. That's starting place a lot of times. And I just feel like all of these cards are about empowerment in that, right? Like the advocacy, you don't have to feel disempowered, even if it feels like the entire world is coming down on you, right? So that's really what I'm getting from the reading. And I'm so glad that fits.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I think I'm a convert now.
Yeah.
We'll see you every other month now.
Yeah.
I'm into it. Okay, so let's lean a little bit more into the spooky. At least I think it's spooky.
Yeah.
Because you've also had some experiences that fall a little bit more into sort of ghosts or mediumship side of things, correct?
Yeah, that would be correct. I don't always love that word. I've tried to resist the mediumshipness and yes, that is correct.
So tell us, do you have any wild stories?
I have so many to count, but because we're talking about so much today, there's one in particular that I'm thinking of. So I have a brother. He's 12 years older than me. So, I was about the age of 1, and we all lived in this townhouse. I'm from Minnesota before moving to Los Angeles, right? So this set of events is interesting. For whatever reason, my parents were out that night. So my brother and one of his friends was watching me for like a really short period of time, and they went to a psychic. This might have happened before, or it might have literally been the night of, just for your context. So they go to the psychic. The psychic is like, you have some ghost in your house. He's, this farmer guy, and it was just describing very specifically. But of course they didn't tell my brother or his friend that or anything. And so the night that they were watching me, oftentimes in that house, they would hear footsteps. Like, imagine you're just in your living room and the second floor, you would hear boots on the ground. And you're just, my parents are like, oh, the house is settling. And it's very clearly sounds like someone's marching. Yeah. So, that's where they were at. But that night, I'm just this 1-year-old baby. I'm basically bald, happy go lucky, eyes sparkly, all that. Well, they claimed that they saw the farmer guy come down the stairs, like it was someone in front of you, right? Come down the stairs, kind of look at them and then move, right? Walk away. And apparently, because they went to go hide, they were really scared after that. Apparently, me as a baby, I took my little blanket. I was sitting in the bed and I went, I put it over my head, right? But the freaky thing about the psychic that my parents saw, they were like, so we know that you're moving soon. Can this farmer person come with you? They like your son, like your baby, which is a little creepy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
my goodness.
but you have to understand, right? You zoom out a little bit and you go, oh, wait, there were farms there, right? There were farms there. And I think in that field, what happened was a tragic accident, a plane exploded there or something. So there were real people there. But yeah, it's a little
yeah, that is.
Yeah, a little on the spooky side.
Yeah,
for sure.
By the way, your baby has a new farmer friend.
Yeah. You're because what's your expectation when you're sitting down with someone claiming to be a psychic, right? You're like, oh, this might just be entertaining, or I don't know what they're going to say, right? I don't think they were expecting that.
Yeah, that's a bit personal.
My goodness.
That's hilarious. Yeah, that's crazy.
That was kind of chilling thinking about that. Do experiences like that, because you mentioned you have multiple that are kind of in that category, does that shape how you approach energy work today?
Right. Yeah, so all of my experiences with the paranormal, or what you would call spirits or ghosts, definitely informs my energy work today. One of the things, as you start getting into this and you start validating your experiences, right, more and more, is the need to cleanse the energy around you. So again, if you believe in this sort of thing, I think everything's energy. We could have a whole conversation about where I think the ghosts are and all of that. That's a whole other conversation. But what I tend to find is the energy around you, even from people who are living, right? If they have like a certain mood or something, like sometimes you can pick up that energy and kind of be a sponge to it. And so I had that experience again and again. And it's just the idea of like, I had to find my personal power in here, right?
Right.
Because again, there's a lot of different types of spirits and ghosts if you go into this sort of field, I'll just say. But at the end of the day, it's, do I have my personal power? Do I feel confident? Do I feel safe from inside of me? Right. And cleansing can help you clear the energy. If you perceive that stuff, it can help you get to kind of like a base energy. Right. But yeah, growing up, I mean, I didn't know, like, we would just have these
Right.
experiences and you try to
Yeah.
write it off in your head. You're like, oh, this isn't real, or oh, I must just be dramatic, or it's someone else, but every time I always find like a nugget or a kernel where I'm like, I just know that something about this is real. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so much of this that has like you're using your intuition, you're using your feeling. And I think in today's world, like we are kind of trained to ignore those things, which can make us feel, I don't know, for me, it does make me feel disconnected to everything. But it can be comforting, to trust yourself, or if you're like, I'm feeling creeped out. But like, how do you tell the difference between just feeling like maybe like a creepy negative energy or like fear? Like, okay, I should probably acknowledge that this might be dangerous.
Like a fear in the world. Yeah. So the energy that you would feel of like a negative spirit, or a ghost, or however you would put it, versus just the danger you would experience in real life, probably would have a similar response in the body, actually, because, and I love thinking about the brain. Like I'm all science about this still. So for
Yeah.
me, it's about integrating these thoughts. So like, it's just like if you were in the woods and there was something there that you couldn't see, but you have that like idea, oh, it could be a predator, right? So your amygdala is going to activate. You're going to have that fear center. But the thing about ghosts and spirits, if you can't see something that's not there, but you perpetually have this feeling, right, is hard to discern sometimes, right? And that's where you might go, oh, I'm feeling crazy, or oh, I'm not going to tell anyone. But that's where you just connect back to yourself. And this is the lesson I've had to learn again and again, right? So for me, I might meditate before I go do something, right? Or do a reading or something. If something is kind of deeper than that, like, again, I'll bring cleansing tools or ways to set the intention in a space together, right? And that has worked when I've cleansed spaces before. So just think about what's the energy you're creating. And if you feel like something is there that you can't see and you're questioning yourself, right? Just go, okay, what's me? What's me in this moment? And maybe I am just like not overreacting, but maybe I am making something out of this. Like, oh, I'm afraid of the dark, or I'm like playing tricks, right? And so like the more you tune into yourself in that way, you'll know the difference, right? Do I think everyone has to like, be open to this sort of thing? No, I don't think you have to like go, oh my gosh, is there a ghost here? Is there a spirit there?
Right.
Oh my gosh, how do I, no.
How can we function?
Right. These tools I use are just tools. Everything is energy. So that's what I go back to. And you have energy, right? You can impress energy onto the space.
Beautiful. I love that.
So our listeners know that I am all about the mental health. And anyone who's ever done a training with me knows that we talk all about this. So I am curious to kind of get your thoughts on some of this. Because everything you were just describing to me, I feel like I maybe have also used similar language to describe someone who might be experiencing psychosis.
Yeah.
And a mental health sort of crisis situation. How do you ensure that things like that are not happening and that you're not sort of overdoing it and then ending up experiencing psychosis?
Absolutely. So going through the process of like, building your intuition for the purposes of divination, spirit work, that sort of thing, it's a challenging path. I will say that. And there is a risk of potentially getting in your own head and experiencing what I would call spiritual psychosis or, anything related to any of these topics. It's something to look out for because the intuitive community or, the greater divination, however you want to put it, psychics, etc., is not really like a scientific field that's been studied. It's very anecdotal and you don't know who
Right.
you can trust and who you can't. So, how do you figure that out? You get grounded, right? You do things like mindfulness and meditation. If you feel like you're hearing or experiencing things that other people are not experiencing, you do yourself a disservice by not at least asking the question, should I be seeking help right now? And that is serious.
Yeah.
So you do need to be on top of your mental health to do this kind of stuff because otherwise you can get lost in it and then you don't know what's real or what's not. So I don't
Yeah.
expect most people to go down this path and I don't encourage it necessarily, but that's something I've had to work through and people will doubt this stuff anyway. So I am kind of going out on a limb coming on here and talking about it, but it's those repeated experiences where I get validated and that's what keeps taking me closer to these conversations.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense because, like, in mental health work, there's a lot of like, there's always that underline, and anyone in therapy will know this, is that the therapist will tell you, look, this will only work if you put the work into it, and you are mindful and you practice these like exercises and you practice being nice to yourself. And there's like all sorts of little things you can do. But I think it's the same thing with what you're saying and like the divination work is like you have to be self-aware, right? You have to practice that self-awareness so you know what's safe for you and what isn't safe so you can understand that okay, maybe I should seek a different type of help to help with these issues and then and kind of blend the two, right? Everything in moderation. A lot of people think that mental health work is a bunch of hoopla, right? And like,
Yeah.
it's completely
We're
fake
very similar.
in 2025, you know what I mean? But it does require a lot of self-awareness work and a lot of practice with one to know oneself.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, I love that. And Logan, I think you presented it in such a refreshing way that I think also is similar things that we do say in mental health, which is you got to take care of yourself.
I mean, I think the other thing that you're all picking up on is like, we have okay. Let me back up for a second. So in college, I took a lot of classes about the mind-body connection, right? And that's one of my favorite topics with psychology, cognitive and the brain and how we experience things. Right? But then, this whole experience of divination, tarot, spiritualism for me, right? By the way, I'm agnostic, so it's not really like a religious thing for me or anything. But that's that soul piece, right? And I think our society de-emphasizes that piece a lot or like maybe distorts it and thinks of it as separate from like the other pieces of our mind and our body. And so like that's how this work has helped clarify to me what feels real and what is validated and what is not. Like it is not in a vacuum,
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of
I
sense.
No, I love that. And I think it's about letting yourself be who you are without forcing it. And I feel like this was just a fun, lighthearted, grounding conversation. So Logan, as we sort of wrap up, we have a few more questions. The first one is, I guess, what is one thing you wish people understood about intuition and energy work?
The number one thing that I wish people understood about intuition is uh, it is outside of the natural world that we experience, right, on a daily basis. So I love to call it our reality collecting tools, our senses, our sight, our smell, our taste, touch, and all of these things, right? So I think a lot of people really rest on that and they say, okay, well, if I can't observe something, it's not true, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
But what I love, and this may be getting a little heady, and feel free to go research more on your own about it, but like the emerging field of quantum physics is really interesting. And so there's just an experiment that's very much like Schrodinger's cat, right? Once you observe the cat inside the box, you don't know what state it's in. Not to be dark, but in that experiment, is the cat alive or is the cat dead, right? So there is a real life experiment that starts to demonstrate that and not just like theoretically talk about it. So it's called the double slit experiment. Again, getting a little heady, but basically there's like a wall, right? And they create these like just little open holes that light will go through. So they thought, okay, if we shine a light through this, what direction will it hit the second wall, right? We should just be able to predict this, right? Well, it turns out that it's not really an objective place it chooses to go. It's when the electron inside of the atom of that light, it was observed, then it picked a place, right? So things aren't always what we seem, but to stay rooted in the natural world is important at the same time. So I think
Absolutely.
suspending a little disbelief, not too much, is definitely something to do when thinking about intuition. And just knowing it's a very personal process as of today. So find community, like find either like-minded people or people you feel comfortable talking about this stuff with. And if that's the way you want to go, you will find what you need.
Yeah, that was really well put. Thank you.
It was,
It's like,
yeah.
I'm a believer. Oh man, you got
Right.
me. So, in closing, we have to know, we ask everybody, what is your beverage of choice? Coffee or otherwise?
My beverage of choice, I really, really feel like, is Dr. Pepper.
Logan, are you sure you're not Texas?
My favorite joke about that is there's this lady who is like 80 something. You might have seen her on TikTok or something. And they're like, well, why are you drinking Dr. Peppers? That's not healthy. Like, you could die. And then she goes, I outlived all my doctors. So
You know that she's a DFW lady.
really,
She's from the DFW area.
That is
that's
hilarious.
cool.
Yes, listeners, she was an Arlington resident. She lived in Arlington.
Wow.
And I only know this because I too love a good Dr. Pepper. And I have been sent that clip of her talking about outliving her doctors multiple times.
Oh my gosh. That is so funny you guys say that because I've been trying to get my friend to stop drinking Dr. Pepper and I know they're listening. And I'm like, well, I can't say that anymore.
We just validated your friend.
Right.
Okay.
I love it. Logan, thank you so much for being here. We had such a great time. Listeners, you can find more about Logan and Lotus and the Snake at lotusandthesnake.com. We'll make sure to tag it in our description. Good stuff for readings and insights. Logan is also offering a special discount for listeners of this podcast for any of the listed services. I guess, Logan, is there any information you need to share about that? How do they access this?
We'll share the code with you, and you can share that in the description or the comments perpetually, and I'll just leave that open. So if you heard this podcast, you'll get 15% off, like you said, of any of the services. So
Wow. Thank you so much, Logan.
Yes. So you guys head on over to lotusandthesnake.com. Check out Logan's services and let's support him, you guys, because it's awesome. Meaghan and I are believers after this visit.
And thank you both so much. I love this podcast. I love the intention, and just thank you for having me.
Yes,
Thank you.
always.
It was so much fun.
It was so much fun.
Only macaroni.
Oh my gosh, that was so much fun.
I had a lot of fun, and I'm so glad you invited him on because I think it was just something that, I needed to hear today.
I know. Okay, but for real, are we now believers?
I kind of am. I've been, I try more ways to like be more connected with myself because if anybody knows me more personally, they know that I can get in my head a lot or I can become so busy with everything else. I ignore myself purposely so I don't have to deal with my brain. But no, it really did speak to me. And just being more like connected with myself. I loved it. Yeah, I loved it.
No, I agree. I think that he presented it in a way that like helped me understand it more.
Mhm.
Like even just making the full body connection, that like we all have energy and it's just
Yeah.
how we interpret that energy in our lives. Grounding. I know all about grounding.
Yeah. I really like the drizzle of quantum physics he dropped in there.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I was like, Logan, you are so smart.
Yeah. I was like, you know what?
Stop making us feel not smart.
You're right. You're right. You're right.
But yes, he's so fun, and I am so glad that he said yes. So thank you again, Logan, for joining us. If you are maybe looking to get a reading or any of the other kinds of services that he offers, go to his website and check it out. But unfortunately, Meaghan, I am out of coffee today. So that is our cue to wrap up when we are out of coffee. But thank you all for joining us today, and be sure to subscribe if you have not already. Just go ahead and do it, y'all.
Just do it. And then be sure you're connected with us on all our socials and continue the conversation. We love to hear about your questions you have and the experience you are having navigating the workplace.
Absolutely. We love our community. We love our socials. And we love being connected to you on our socials. So you can find us on LinkedIn, Instagram, Threads, Patreon. And of course, you can always check out the show on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. We hope that you continue joining us for Not a Lonely Coffee Break. Again, we are your hosts. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Meaghan.
Cheers, queer.